Hi, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to another edition of eHeroes. I brought a very special guest on today, and with all the things happening in the world with the pandemic and all the entrepreneurs having anxiety, depression, and not knowing how to tap into their true power, I brought in Brandi Veil, who's going to hopefully help us not only overcome the anxiety that we have, but maybe deep dive into that power that truly exists within us. So welcome, Brandy, and thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you. I love that you said hopefully. Hopefully. I
Well,
I, I
I would hope that all the entrepreneurs are paying attention, that they can get something out of this interview.
thank you.
Mm.
And I want to preface the hopefully with a shift in the language right away. And what I do as an NLP practitioner and also a linguistics practitioner is up leveling language, right? So we say hope as in the old world of hope, like maybe it will, maybe it won't, right?
Hmm.
We activate a portion of the brain that says absolutely it will,
Right.
and then our something happens in our brain, right? And it says absolutely it will, absolute, without a doubt. Because if we come into conversation with the unknown, we sometimes get lost, and it's what's going on in our political life right now and our business life, maybe in your family's life. So yeah, so thought I'd start with that.
So you will get something out of this interview, and you will be successful. So this is why we
Now we're ready.
bring these awesome entrepreneurs on here to correct me, but it makes things better. I don't always have the answers, so that's why you know we bring on these experts. But Brandy, you know have people question things that you say, because I always know I've learned about NLP a long time ago in marketing. It's the words that we put in our print, in our marketing, but sometimes it also gets people a little upset.
It's your intention,
Mhm.
right? It's actually what's going on inside of you and how you're using the tools. Everything is true. No matter if it's the craziest story and a big fat lie, everything is true. It's true somewhere, someplace, or time. And it could be a manipulation, right? We see this a lot of the times in sales. It could be a manipulation of someone using a tactic in order to have a response. And at the end of the day, they get a result,
Right.
right? As a mindful mentor, right? So I have mindful business strategy. That's my 90-day program that I use with my clients. I don't take just anyone. For 6 weeks, I have to learn their themes or their patterns, because they may come in and say, I want to make $1 million. And I'll say, great. Well, where are you today? And then all of a sudden the inflated like ego will go, oh, I'm in debt. I know I'm trying to raise money, but and then I'll get to the root of the problem. And then of course, then we'll find on their timeline, right? So I do timeline therapy as well. I'll find out on their timeline somewhere, even in vitro inside the womb, that mom was left or
Mhm.
something happened, and then we'll just have to rebuild from there. And by the time the 6 weeks is up, we'll go ahead and review, and I customize what we're going to do next for the next 6 weeks, right? So
Wow.
in those 6 weeks, most of my clients, it's very, very personal, right? It's vulnerable, but I'm here for that. I came to serve the greater good of all mankind. And essentially, you have to get deep.
Mhm.
You have to go deep. Pull it out, put it on the wall. Like for you, market it if you're ready for that, put it in a book, and then help others. Really, we came here to help serve.
Yeah, and I think I saw on one of your videos or maybe one of your posts, and it was the whole art of being real. And sometimes we're not real to ourselves, and people can see through that.
Mhm.
But I think if we're not real to our true self, we hold ourselves back.
Mm, yeah. There's, well, the world isn't. The world isn't quite ready for all the real stuff now, is it? Oh, I have to preface, we had a talk before this recording. So, no, the world is not prepared. So we must prepare them.
Mhm.
Our current value system is based on a regurgitation, or as my spirit guides will say, or my highest self will say, it's a plagiarism that's been taking place for eons. And people have become programmed, and they believe that is themselves.
Mhm.
That's in my writings behind the veil, right? So if it's been plagiarized for this line, and you're copying and pasting and you're using these spin modules for marketing, who's actually showing up? Is it you, or is it the other
Mhm.
entity that wants to have you work and not live, and be in debt, and all kinds of things come from that nature. So now we're in this really fantastic, higher than ever before elevated state that says go within
Mhm.
to actually create on the outside, right?
And you kind of hit it there where we get this state, but as entrepreneurs, it's sometimes it's a plateau.
Mm.
We grow, and then we kind of stop, and we stagnate, and we stay at this level. And
Mhm.
so all these people are like, yeah, I want to make $1 million, but they get to that $150,000 level, and they don't know where to go. They don't know how to think, you know, to get to that $1 million mark.
Well, so projections are really, really helpful when you understand how to use it. Everything to me is magic. If you really look at the alchemy, I'm going to use big words.
Okay.
It, it's just part of my nature. People are like, Brandy, most people don't have your lexicon, and you know what? Then great, let's work together so that you can also be a magician as well. There is an art. You use the term as art. I say magic. Both of them are very true.
I like magic.
Yes, me too. Um, since we're on the topic of magic, most people will be, oh, well, what's that? And I'll say, well, that's a sound bowl. And they'll say, well, what does it do? Well,
Make sound.
make sound, right, to the naked eye. But if I continue to play this, my entire equipment will start to vibrate at a certain
That's
speed.
vibrate my ears already.
Yeah. But what do you think it's doing to your brain? What do you think it's balancing and removing the waves that should not be constantly inside your brain when it's not truly you?
Hmm.
It's just a program of sound wave frequencies changing your neurology. We have to be discerning. What I do as a mindset, I guess I don't call it mindset coach anymore. It's quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
I use sound wave frequencies, binaural beats. I even do vocal toning. I get entrepreneurs in a state so that they really start to understand who they are. It's different than what we were taught, right?
Hmm.
The yogis, the Hindus, the musicians, they understand there's a field that comes, and they're basically turn on this channel because they're designing themselves, their body, to be in a state,
Hmm.
right? So you were speaking about anxiety, right? And recently I became certified as a kindred and active minds practitioner. HBO did this whole campaign on anxiety. And when we are out of sorts in our brain, the hormones and the chemicals in our body it will replay this pattern, this program. I'm not enough. What am I going to do? Looking at the past, having anxiety and fear and not enoughness. In the future, anxiety and fear, and what's going to happen. But when we close the noise, right, left brain, right brain, and we get center brain, we get into a place of reverence. Reverence. So when you get humming or doing ohms, and you get into this state, and you just find 15 minutes to do it, it's not a long investment,
Hmm.
you're able to attune to your heart. And of course, you have to have a little practice. but it's not hard and it's free. And there's plenty of information out there to learn how to be at peace. When anxiety creeps up on us, and fear, we are overwhelmed, and then anyone can take us into
Mhm.
their world and control and manipulate. So we have to be very conscious of where we are personally and then the outer world, and choose wisely.
And
Will.
I think that social media has really kind of controlled, our minds over the last few years in a different way than it did at the very beginning. I love social media. I've written books on social media, but I think lately all it is noise. And I think that we all have to learn to control, you know, if, how much of that noise we bring
Yeah,
in.
I agree. You have to have discernment. And the Zoom calls and this is all part of something else, by the way. Should we go there now?
We
Uh,
can.
we're changing over to a new economic system,
Yeah.
folks. And it may look like, oh, this thing over here. Hey, look over here, while all this other stuff is happening.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Again, it's all real, it's all true. But just know to prepare if you want to be financially secure, have wealth, be a beneficial presence on the planet. Go inwardly and ask where you're being guided. Digital assets, asset backed transactional currencies, all of that, 5G, all of that is real.
Yeah.
So we're not there yet, but all
But
of this is
but all
happening.
this change, whether it be present change or future change, is scaring people,
Mm.
and they don't know how to cope with, that the change that's approaching them. They don't understand how to, turn their business into something that, maybe their business isn't making money, or they've been told that, hey, you're not essential, but they don't know how to flip the script and try to rewrite their own history to be better at something different.
I love that you're bringing that up. Um, I do channel writing, and channel is basically I go deep within and then I listen to my internal voice, and then I'm able to write and just continue to write. Automatic writing, I have no idea what's going to be written until I'm in the middle of it. It's really fun. Um, but
I've written 28 books. I still don't know what's in them.
I'm looking forward to Rob versus Humanity. I love it. I love that you knew you were going to write something that eventually was going to be shocker. um, channel writing. This will be the cure all. You want to hear what it is?
Sure.
You mentioned people do not know
Hmm.
what to become and where to go. And okay, Walt Disney.
Hmm.
Okay, Walt Disney, Imagination Land, right? But he was the best at making sure the customer experience was exactly like the Imagination Land. But in order to get to Imagination Land, you must first what? Go to Imagination Land. And we have a lot of doers right now. We have a lot of thinkers, but we don't have a lot of imagination, creativity,
Right.
hypothesis, test, and then market, or market and test, right? Imagination land looks like this. First, the act of imagining is the act of creating.
Mm.
You see that? The act of imagining is the act itself of creation. Point. Now we know in science, right? 1 point, one atom splits into two. You have 2 points. What's the fastest way to get to creation? Connect the two. So that would be writing it down. Imagination, writing it down, not judging it, not knowing how, just writing it down, then talking about it, which also is wave particles in form. And then the imagination is built, and then those things become attracted to you. And that's how business, real true creation and innovation happens. And it happens every day. So those people who are searching and they're stuck, it's because the science behind where they're at is asking you to evolve.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you look at, Jeff Bezos or even Elon Musk,
Mhm.
that, and even um, I lost my forget it.
Tesla?
Well, with Elon Musk is
Einstein?
Tesla, but Bill Gates. So you
Mhm.
look at those three, and they're the richest people in the world. But without their imagination, without them actually going out and doing something to make sure that imagination grows, they wouldn't be the billionaires they are now.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
I
and I'm thinking, if those guys can do
Mm.
it, there's no reason why, anybody listening can't go out and make $1 billion. You just have to have that imagination to start it off with.
Yeah, and you also have to use your brain.
I see you have my brain there.
I love when I'm
I
in
didn't know that my brain was orange and blue and yellow and
this is your brain, this is your brain on Brandy. Okay, so I teach this in my Millionaire Brain Yoga course. Essentially, we do have the frontal cortex, logical portion of the brain, the left side of the brain, which is numbers and science and how things are connected in formulas, formulaic. And then the right side is the creative, the intuition, is the colors. Most people are like, they're so stuck on using logic and then going over here and trying to figure out the numbers because we've been programmed that way.
yeah.
Will it work? Who's going to do it? How do I make that work? Stick, 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 stick. But when you open up the brain, and what I do in my mindful session is I open up the brain and we get into, I know, isn't that great? The third eye is right here. You open up and you walk 6 steps, and between your ears is where the pineal gland is.
Cool.
And the pineal gland is, melatonin regulation, pituitary connected. It moves through all of the limbic system.
Mm.
Limbic system is responsible for your emotional body, the things that, fight or flight, these things.
My
The
sarcasm.
most, like your, we'll talk about that later. So, if you really use your brain in a certain way, you'll understand how energy emits from your body and how you can have, be, or do anything that you want. There are rules to it, right? The magic, there are rules to it, and there is a practice. So, um, yeah, we are powerful beyond our beliefs. Just think about that for a moment. If we have belief limitation,
Mhm.
then we are limiting beliefs. And it's okay for some people. Some people love that. My beloved loves it. You can imagine how I drive him insane.
I can't imagine the arguments that you have. But I also think that you know there are people who generationally have been told you can't do something, or you'll only be good at one thing. And one of the things that I always like to share with people, especially if you've listened to a lot of these interviews, is my favorite movie is A Knight's Tale. And in the movie, young Will asks his father if he can be more than what he is. And his father says, anybody can change their stars. Anybody can be, more than who they are. And when I always tell people, if it's something that you really want to do, you can change your stars. If you look at me, years ago, I owned a carpet cleaning business. Now I own a marketing business that also publishes books and teaches lawyers and entrepreneurs all over the place great marketing. So if I can change my stars, anybody can change their stars.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I was a swimmer model for a long time, and
Really?
yeah, a lot of people do not know that. I recently started telling people on these wonderful podcasts. In
Mm,
fact, I was in Playboy. I did that for a long time, and nobody knows about that either.
I don't
Um,
know about
you don't know. Nobody heard it here.
it.
I didn't share that history because I wanted people to have trust in me,
Hmm.
and as a spiritual guide, as a CEO mentor. I don't want that to become this. And what I realize is it's not it's not what you were, it's who you are.
Yeah.
All of you. Every bit
Well,
of you.
all the things that I learned as a carpet cleaning entrepreneur, all the things that I had to learn about marketing and everything else is now responsible for who I am now. So, even though I don't like to say, hey, this is who I was,
Yeah.
that's what made me who I am now.
Agreed. I helped launch Red Bull North America after being a spokesmodel and a swimwear athletics spokesperson for a long time. I helped Red Bull North America launch their celebrity campaigns,
Wow.
and I remember standing outside my home, and it all clicked. And I didn't have a background in marketing, but something in me said, I understand systems more than you can ever imagine, which is now the astrological systems and the body's biochemical feedback loop and how the moon works. Whereas Red Bull North America was, how can we get a celebrity to endorse this, do product seeding, and have a great time so that Red Bull could have wings,
Yeah.
right? But in that moment, I was like, this is how advertising and marketing is all connected.
Right.
Wow. That's how the banking. Then I moved into the United Nations on how are we going to move an audience to a greater purpose?
Hmm.
And then I looked at the banking system, and that's a whole other podcast. But that's when I became an advocate for sharing economy. And I just took up this humanitarian way of let's change the economic system, swimmer model. Let's change the economy, But now I know that we all come here with a purpose. How we bring that to life is really about the experience you want to have, how
And
much fun you
also,
want to have.
the experience that you want to leave to the next generation, your legacy.
Mm.
Even though Walt Disney hasn't been around for since the '60s, the legacy that he's left behind from that dream that he had, has influenced millions of people.
Right. Yeah.
And so, even though that you were one thing and then you did the United Nations and doing this, it's all those things that you're teaching other people how to do, that you're leaving your legacy into them, and they're being able to shine their light on millions of others. We're
Yeah.
all connected.
We're all connected, and we're at a very auspicious time now.
Mhm.
Auspicious meaning at a really great, grand time for.
I think the wealth creation right now is so abundant. If people would just open their eyes to the opportunity, but a lot of them, they give up.
Can I ask you a question about that? So when you say that, I notice how your body language kind of shifts. Is this are these studies that you're learning this, or is it just looking at media? Tell me how.
I'm looking at some of my past clients. I'm looking at how they do things. I'm looking at, when I used to go into the malls just to watch people,
Mhm.
and sometimes that's the funnest thing to do, because you can tell a lot about people by their body language and by what they're doing, and how they're instructing their kids, and you can tell sometimes they'll go into a mall to look at maybe a pair of sneakers is like $100,
Right.
and they only have $40, and that's all they could afford, and you could see that they've already just given up. They can't figure out how to get that next $60 or $40, whatever it is, to buy those sneakers. And a lot of people, I think, have been programmed to accept mediocrity.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I know. The empathic nature of me is yes, and and no no leaf will be unturned.
Mhm.
Okay, everybody has a reason and a purpose, and they all have to go through struggles, or they ask for help.
Right.
And most people do not ask for help for many reasons, but think about it. Clean water and breathing will change your entire brain.
Yeah.
And it's accessible for most people. Water and breathing is a must, right? And the nourishing neutrons in the body, the nourishment, you can change the program. And it just takes a little bit of a shift. The food is so important, the water is so important, and the way that we get up in the morning is so important.
And I also find that people don't ask. If there's a problem that they need to face, they don't ask for help.
Mhm.
And I don't know why they don't do it. Maybe it's pride. But if I see something that I need, or needs to happen, especially getting entrepreneurs to ask for referrals.
Right.
They'll come up with 100 different excuses why a person won't give it a referral. I said, but did you ask? Well, no, because I don't think they're going to do it. Well, if you just ask, and then they ask, and they're getting tons of referrals. Now they can build their business on referrals and not spend a lot of money on advertising. All you had to
Yeah,
do is ask.
to train the brain. Since you're bringing this up, and I'll make sure that you have this for your audience. This is part of the campaign for HBO and for asking for help, because there are some people, and if this is you listening and you are going through a struggle right now and you do not see outside the box, please reach out to me, or reach out to this number, because it's so important to know that you are cared for and loved. The number is 1-800-278-TALK, which comes out to 8255. So 1-800-273-TALK. Um, you know, Prioritizing self-care, sleep, nutrition, physical movement, socialization, talking it out, um, reaching out for help, vent or cry, share, and connect with others, and have self-compassion. These are some of the ways that if you're going through anxiety, depression, or confusion or disillusion, please know that we're here. We're all one.
Well, how does the audience, how do they get a hold of you? Where do they go?
Sure, you can visit me. I'm on Instagram under Brandi Veil. I do Monday mantras to help with balancing your system, and you can see me on Facebook and Brandi Veil, BrandiVeil.com. That's my website.
And see, that's why she's an e-hero. And I want you guys to follow her on Instagram, on Facebook, go to her website, even dial the number, but reach out to her. Don't reach out to me, because I'll just give you some sarcastic answer you won't like. But if you want marketing help, you can reach me at anspachmedia.com. All the other stuff, go to Brandi.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, let me make it easy for you. 323-834-9537. 323-834-9537. That will go directly to me. I'm that serious about life and love.
She's serious. I'm sarcasm.
I'm going to work with you. We're all
That's it.
needed.
That's it. We'll see you guys next week, and have a great day.
Thank you.